Alrighty, hosses, welcome back. And now that we understand the basics of Flask, how a simple application is set up, I want to start talking to you guys about some of the cooler things that you can do with it. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to map multiple URLs to a single function. And if you guys are like, alright, so this might be a cool little trick, but is it ever useful? Well, I'll give you guys an instance of when you could use this. So say that you were making this social network. You had a brand new awesome idea for a social network, but you wanted the homepage to change depending on if the user was logged in or not. So if a user went to the website and they weren't logged in, then the homepage would just be a login form that says, hey, sign up or log in, whatever you want to do. Now, if they were already logged in, then the homepage would just be like their stream or their newsfeed or their profile, whatever. So the content of it would change depending on, some external variable, in this case, whether they were logged in or not. So what we can do is we can actually take two different URLs and map them to the same function. How do we do that? Well, let's just go ahead and keep this one right here. And I'm gonna route another one and we'll just say user. So in this case, we'll say whenever the user is logged in, then we'll pass in a variable right in their path. Now remember, since we have this variable right here, whenever we load the home page, it always needs a variable. It's always expecting one, even when they're not logged in. So by default, we'll just set the user to none. So this means if you want to override it with a name, you can, but if they're not logged in yet, since you need a variable in order to work, then we'll just give it none by default. So instead of just returning plain static text, let's use the cool render template we used, and we'll make a template called user.html. All right, and remember user, this is going to be the name of a user whenever they are logged in. So now we actually have to make this template. New HTML file. I named it user, didn't I? Yep. All right. Doc type, looking good. All right. So remember, this is our home page, and whether they're logged in or not, this always gets displayed, this template right here. So how do we have kind of two different versions of HTML on here? Well, what we're going to do is this. All right. So what you need to do is you need to write curly brace, %, curly brace. Now anything you write in here is essentially just Python code or Flask. So we're going to check if user. Now remember, if this is equal to anything but none, it means that they must be logged in. And for actual website, you might want to test this differently so people just can't type in anyone's name and look at their profile, but this is going to be an easy way to explain it. All right, so if the user variable is set, then what we want to do is we just want to write like hello Bucky or hello Sally or whatever. So I'll just write h1, and I'll write hello user. And remember, this user variable is going to be equal to someone's name because that's what we're passing in. All right. So now what we can do is we can check this. So else and end if. All right. So this HTML is only going to be displayed if there is a username. In other words, if they're logged in. Else, if they're not logged in yet, then we can just write something like h1 or we'll say please log in. Period. Nope, no period. Don't want it. All right. So there we go. And now let me go ahead and run this. And once you see what's going on, it's going to make a lot more sense. All right. So right now we're just going to our web page, no special URLs or anything, and it says please log in. So we'll make some feature later on that the user can log in. And now once they are logged in, remember this is just the home page still. We're just throwing in a variable called Bucky. It says hello Bucky. So what we're looking at right here is the exact same HTML template, this user.html. However, the content of it is dependent on whatever variables we passed in. If the user is set to a name, then it says this. Else, if they don't have a name yet and they're not logged in, then I'll have this right here. How did we do that? Well, we actually took two different URLs and we mapped them or connected them both to the same function's return value, which is right here. Pretty interesting. And again, this is kind of I don't know. We may be getting our head of ourselves, but that is how you do that. And in the upcoming tutorial, I thought I would have time in this one, but I'm actually going to be showing you guys how to throw in multiple variables in data structures like a list. And it's actually really cool. So I'll see you guys in that video.